You are listening to the audiobook, Yuri, Special Agent Mischa, written and produced by Boyd Craven III. Copyright 2025 by Boyd Craven III. Chapter 12. I had a tub of ice water ready and was dunking all the smoked sausage when Bitsy came running from the back of the hut. Her cheeks flushed. She pointed to her phone and showed me the video of the gate. Claudia was there in her personal vehicle. "Let her in, Bitsy. You know you don't have to ask me." She kissed my forehead, then pointed back in the direction of the bunker elevator. "If you think you're ready, I don't mind. I trust her. Honestly, in my life's experiences, there's only been one woman I trust implicitly. You're her. If I had somebody who was nearly there, it'd be Claudia. If you want to open up fully, I'll back you." Her eyes teared up, and she tapped on the screen. I went back to dunking the meat so I could stop it from cooking. Or whatever. I watched a ton of YouTube videos about this, and so far we've been eating and enjoying a ton of this stuff. The snack sticks I made from the last 2 deer, since we had enough steaks. Divine. Bitsy was dancing foot to foot, and despite my saying I was okay with everything, I'd been lying to everyone. It did slightly hurt. I knew she was the same way with me when I got acquitted, but I wish I got the doe-eyed looks and happy dance when I came around. Was I jealous? Yup. Did it depress me? Not quite. I understood because of how she grew up, and the abuse and assaults on her when she was barely 9 years old made her the way she was. Part of it was that I always wanted to be a fixer, and my ego sometimes warred with the logical part of my brain that knew the truth, and my heart just wanted what it wanted. I loved her. Honestly, with me being the last of my family line since my parents' passing, she was my reason to keep doing villain shit instead of killing my liver on a tropical island somewhere. I loved doing my evil villain shit, don't get me wrong, but she was the frick to my frack, the spick to my span. She was the arm to my hammer, the cookies to my cream, the jelly to my peanut butter. Shit. I wiped my eyes before she noticed. As Bitsy ran forward to hug and kiss Claudia, I pulled the long strings of sausages out of the ice water and put them into an empty bin. Bitsy ran to me, danced around in a circle and pointed straight back. Claudia looked confused. "Can I help you carry that?" She's too excited for me to make out what she's trying to say. "Listen, Claudia. You know we don't live in the cabin. You know that's our front. Do you want to see our bat cave and where we really live and work?" Bitsy went completely still and bit her lip nervously. Claudia noticed it. "I know you weren't building high-tech bullshit in either Quonset hut, let alone able to power a railgun with that solar array or 3. I checked right after we got a ton of complaints from Phil, and this property has a ton of caves and mines. I'm guessing you really live and work there." "Pretty much. You've signed all the NDAs the government threw at you. I literally trust you with my life, and I like you. I like you a lot. Katerina, I think, is deeply in love with you, but she's scared you're going to freak out if we show you. We want to give you the option to keep the status quo or to, I don't know, really get to know us better? Explore where a relationship, a real one, would go." Bitsy kicked at me, but I dodged out of the way. I have a pretty good idea already. I never thought I'd meet a man or woman I could like this, let alone both at once. I'll take whatever trust you two will give me. You've been nothing but as honest as you've been allowed with me. Even before I was read in on everything, I knew you had a secret manufacturing facility somewhere on the property. It's part of what I was read in on and why you have your helicopter pad." "Touché," I muttered. "In that case, I could use a hand. I can get it, but no sense to struggle." "Is everything shut off here?" Claudia asked, looking towards the smoker, where streamers were still coming out of the top. "Yeah, just got to dump this ice water." I did that, and then Claudia took half of the empty tote and motioned for me to go on. We walked to the back where the oil pit was. Bitsy walked down, making room for me to go next. Claudia gave us a skeptical look as I reached under the edge and hit the button. The oil change pit was actually our elevator. It sank to the ground, and Claudia's jaw dropped. When we got to the bottom, I took her side of the tote and waddled out as she stepped off the pit with wide eyes. Bitsy walked around us, got the door, and then hit the button to send the pit back up. "You guys weren't fucking around. Claudia said in a small voice. Nope. I'm going to go hang these in the walk-in. How about you head that way with me? I asked, walking around her and entering the bunker proper. She caught up a moment later, grabbing half the tote as her eyes roved all around. Bitsy was walking behind us, more hiding behind me, as a speechless Claudia followed us into the kitchen. Modern stainless steel appliances, a long row of pantry cabinets, and a couple of dozen running feet worth of countertops. A bar top where Bitsy and I ate breakfast had stools for 4 people, but we always used the far left, by the coffee maker. I left the ladies there, taking the tote myself and pushing the door open into the cold room. It was a walk-in refrigerator, but with some adjustments to the CoolBot controllers, it could easily be a freezer as well. Right now, it held a partial carcass of a deer hanging still, hooks holding it up by its hind legs. I would let the sausages continue to cool in here, and the cold, dry air would finish the process off. Tomorrow morning, I'd get it all out, vacuum seal it, and then freeze a good portion of it. We'd already filled 3 small chest freezers upstairs with cuts, cured meats, sausage, and ground meat. I honestly would have just bought a cow's worth of stuff this year if Bitsy hadn't been so excited about doing this stuff. Sure, I would have hunted, but I would have stopped at that one big buck. I grabbed a roll of paper towels and some sanitizing spray, sprayed several hooks down, and then wiped them clean. From there, I started hanging up the strings of now-cured, smoked sausage. They were technically cooked now, but I wanted to put some charcoal on them and eat some bratwurst to see if I liked the flavor. I wanted to do some jalapeno jack and different cheddars next to see if I got the taste on these just right. I left the empty bin in the walk-in and headed out. The girls were gone. Or well, not gone, but not right here. I saw that Claudia had left her keys on the counter. I smirked. I could imagine Bitsy jumping and dancing, excited to show her around, dragging her out of there by hand. I headed out, then to the bathroom to wash my hands. When I was done, I decided to find them. Bitsy's room was empty, but she'd woken up her computer, and all 6 monitors she used were lit up. 2 of the screens were dedicated to monitoring the property. She had a number of computer towers under the desk, along with 2 server racks. She never had to run the heat in this room if she didn't want to, even though everything was lower powered. It was warm from all the computers. My room was similarly empty, though again the computer was on. I grinned at the background image. Bitsy must have just changed it. It was a candid shot of her and Claudia as they kissed in front of the hut, the camera hidden in the outdoor light fixture. I heard murmurs, so I left the room slowly. I noticed my shop's light was on, so I headed that way. Bitsy was showing Claudia all the different CNC machines and the far side where her Dylans were. Claudia looked dazed. Bitsy saw me and waved me over enthusiastically. She's too excited for me to understand everything. But I'm guessing this is where the magic happens? Claudia asked. It's where my side of things comes into play. The Dylan reloaders are Bitsy's, but I can use them when she lets me. I generally hand-load anything I'm shooting, 1 round at a time. Bitsy nodded, tapping a finger to her lips. Then she pointed to Claudia and then to my big 5-axis CNC machine. Okay, I'll explain things. See, with the right materials and computer modeling, I can fabricate just about anything. We even have some 3D printers. I can make and manufacture just about any firearm or weapon system out there. I wasn't teasing when I told folks I have an M134 I made. And what's... Oh, holy fuck, Claudia said, stumbling back into me. I caught her around the waist and held her as 3 of my gunbots approached. Bitsy was holding up a hand with 1 finger raised in the universal weight sign. All the bolts were locked back, and there were no mags in the weapons. The spider-like robots were still in the bare aluminum like they'd been machined to be. Light gun platforms that could be autonomous with little input. It's okay, I said, kissing the side of her head. This is the kind of stuff that Bitsy and I make. I can come up with this kind of stuff, but I can't program it and make it walk, aim, or send live camera feedback to our computer devices. It's okay, they're all unloaded. I thought they were like automated sentry bots coming to shoot intruders, Claudia said in a small voice, her body relaxing. The programming isn't quite there yet. Bitsy's been working on. Bitsy flipped me off, then shook her finger back and forth. Wait, you got it done? She shrugged. Claudia moved forward and knelt to examine one. They were about 4 feet tall normally. There were 6 spider legs with 3 joints, each leg connected to the main body. Right now, that's where the battery bank was, so I could keep the center of gravity as low as possible. Then there was the gun portion that could spin 360 degrees, move up and down, etc. Lastly, there was a round, thin dome top. It looked like a polished round metal sled, but maybe 2 feet across. Gunbots, railguns. Wait, where's the flash suppressors on these? They're an AR platform, right? Yeah, automatic fire would throw the aim off. These were designed to handle just about any terrain, get in close, get off a few shots, and move on. They're small on purpose. When they're painted and deployed, they make almost no noise as they move. It's a combination of hydraulics and electronic servos. Some stuff is off the shelf, but the electronic controls and targeting stuff is all our invention and programming. Claudia gulped. What's the craziest thing you ever made? I looked Bitsy's way, and she pursed her lips. This was a hard one. Weapon, spy device, distraction piece, camera system. I mean, we can basically do whatever here, including our injection molding. I just have to cut the dies with a CNC machine. That's what this big guy is. I told her, pointing. I have so many questions, she muttered. A slightly freaked out Claudia left with Bitsy to tour the rest of the area. I was going to follow when Bitsy sent me a message. Can you make her a 300 blackout and suppressor? Extra long fluted barrel and custom magazine? I texted her back. I can get it started. It won't be done until tomorrow. It will be longer if I do the coding. Can I cannibalize one of our ARs and cut some time down? That's good. We're going to get food cooked for you. She was really impressed with the kitchen. She suspected most of this, but to see it for the first time, she said, was a little overwhelming. Also, the MSP arrested Denton and Luke. Says the prosecutor's choice on how hard to charge them, but turned all evidence over. Claudia also wants to stay over tonight. I told her sure, but if you have issues with that, let me know. Katerina Rylova, you're so funny. You make good joke. Yes? Ha! Boris needs his Natasha to understand partnership. Only together can we defeat Moose and Squirrel. KK. See you soon. Contrary to popular belief, though, I could quickly cheat, and I often bought parts from the internet to stock up. I don't make my own springs, detents, buffer tubes, or barrel shrouds. Most people, I assume, know that an AR platform gun's lower that's set to shoot the regular 5.56 NATO or 223 understands that by undoing 2 pins and changing out the upper, you can quickly make it into a new gun. I fired up my big machine with several blocks of aluminum in it to make AR lower receivers. This one could easily do a ton at a time, but I wanted to replace the one I was going to steal from a gunbot and wanted to have an extra one ahead. I programmed the machine, loaded the materials, and let it go through its process. Next, I selected some 4150 steel stock and put that on one of the lathes. I gave it the specs and let that go. I went to the smaller lathe, and with a smaller block of 4150, I had it start shaping the suppressor. When the noise was getting bad, Bitsy ran up and closed the door. I could see her color was up, and she was blushing furiously. I walked back and put on a lab coat, my goggles, and hearing protection. I'd steal the AR lower from a gunbot later. My lab coat was spotless, but I noticed something on it that I hadn't before. The stains were gone, and over the left breast pocket was a new monogram. Dr. Evil. I had to laugh at that. I also went to work. I'd let Bitsy tell me when the food was ready. I wouldn't be able to hear my phone or feel the vibration with the rest of the equipment I was about to fire up. The BCG was the last thing I installed. The barrel and suppressor took the most time. Since I didn't have to build and assemble everything, it really came down to building the upper and putting a handle and stock on the lower. I'd made it with the barrel Bitsy wanted, mounted all the shrouds, and put some glass on top. I was threading the 12-inch long suppressor on when the door to the machine shop opened, and Claudia poked her head in. She saw that and raised an eyebrow. Going dinosaur hunting? She asked. Nah. Can you hold this for a sec? I asked her, handing it to her. She took it, but I could tell she was surprised at the weight. She practiced bringing it up to her shoulder and down, getting a feel for the balance. It would need to be sighted in, but I hadn't finished the custom magazines Bitsy wanted. In the meantime, PMags were cheap and would work. I also had a bajillion of them on the storage racks. I grabbed down an ammo can of hand-loaded blackout rounds and half a dozen magazines. This is a beautiful weapon. Did you rattle Ken the barrel? Yeah, I didn't have time to coat it. Besides, if the owner wants it dipped and coated instead of trying it out, I can handle that on another day. The important thing was to protect the fresh steel. The can is the same way too, I told her. She nodded. It's amazing. Is the owner picky or something? I set the can down in front of her. I don't know. You never seem to be. Her jaw dropped. She slung the rifle across her back and walked my way, kissing me deeply. It surprised me, but I was kissing her back a moment later, feeling my body respond to her near subaudible moans. Footsteps had me turn, and I could see Bitsy in the doorway, giving me the thumbs up. Claudia broke off the kiss and turned to see her running back towards the kitchen. This place is amazing. You really are like a mad scientist down here. Yeah, I even have the lab coat, see? I told her. I backed up, and when she saw the name monogrammed on it, she burst into laughter. I reached down and got the ammo can, and led her out of there and towards the kitchen. The smaller CNC machine would shut down when it finished cutting. The girls retired to Bitsy's room after dinner. Claudia didn't have to work until the afternoon tomorrow, so she was staying over. I decided to spend some time online and do some searching. There was no hint of a new job yet, and if I had the next 2 or 3 months to shop and play and innovate, I would. I was also going to get some parts on the slow boat in bulk. I had a contact at Huawei who said that I could order stuff through a cutout. Still, for some reason, their chips were more regulated than fissile materials and were banned in the USA due to security concerns. It wasn't like I was ordering a ton of their premier AI microprocessors, which didn't even come out until the next year. I was ordering the stripped-down version, and they did a small production run of 10,000 test units. So far, I'd been able to get 5. I got on my computer and sent an email to my contact. Hey Hua, I got your last email. It was much appreciated. I wish you could see the fall colors up here in Michigan. It's over 100 times more beautiful than I've ever seen. I've been looking at new Helos. I might head to Marquette and check out a 910 base model. If I like it, I want to get it home as quick as I can. I know you're familiar with them, so I thought I'd send you an email so you can advise me or tell me if you think I'm shooting too high. I know they're pricey, but I do miss chatting face to face. Maybe we can work out a time to chat when it isn't the middle of the night for both you and me. Breaking it down should be dumb and obvious, but I was also sending this through a highly encrypted system Bitsy had invented. Sadly, this was one more form of subterfuge, even though it was obvious and dumb. I wanted 10910B microchips sent to Marquette. I knew it would come on a slow boat, and my asking if they were too pricey was his way of telling me how much. He'd come up with a price, pad it, add it to shipping, and send me instructions on how much to send in crypto. From the port, I was on my own. With Marquette only being an hour and a half away on the back roads or 45 minutes by helicopter, I would do the pickup myself and transport it. I just had to research customs agents and see who the players were, and if the cargo ship was going to know what they were shipping and to whom. I got an email back almost immediately from Hua. I went ahead and sent the crypto to his wallet to receive one email confirming receipt of payment. I knew I wouldn't hear anything else for a couple of weeks, so I exited out of there and sighed. 100K was spent just like that. It was highway robbery, but I wasn't able to buy some of this stuff locally or even on this continent. I had a lot more parts one could use, however. Since I had been talking about Helos, though, I was curious about what we could get here close by. I had room to store one when it wasn't in use, and I had the fuel for something nice and awesome. It was more of a want and a convenience than anything else, though. I looked through some listings, and a Robinson R66 caught my attention. They wanted a lot for it, but nowhere near what a new one would cost. I could, for the low price of $500,000, buy it. I sighed. Opening a new tab, I opened the website I'd bookmarked a long time ago. I fired up Altium, a PCB design program I love to use, and made sure I saved my latest project on my desktop. Then, I went back to the company's website and clicked on Get a Quote. I attached the board's design, traces, and through holes indicated. I left my phone number. Let them know I wanted to order between 100 and 1,000, depending on the potential pricing, and hit send. I was about to close it out, but when I went back and sent them the design on a camera module I'd been messing around with, I wanted to know how much, and I'd want a few hundred. Knock knock. Turning, I saw Claudia standing there. She was in one of my robes, something Bitsy loved to steal from me when she was working on her computer. Warm as hell in there, skinny girl was still freezing. Plus, she did have a fetish or thing about scents. She'd steal my clothes after I wore them when she slept, quite often, even when we weren't sharing a bed. Come on in, I told her. I had a folding chair near the desk. I pulled it out and opened it for her. She sat down next to me, wringing her hands together. I waited. Bitsy and I talk. You know that, right? Of course. All the time. You two even have your private chat. That made her blush. Yeah. It's not that we're trying to keep things from you, but they were keeping things from me. I was okay with that. Mostly. I trusted them both. Sometimes a girl's got to have her secrets, I told her. It's not that. It's about you, she muttered. I turned, dread filling my stomach. Okay, I said, leaning forward. You've been right about 99.99% of everything you do or say for Katerina. You two are almost telepaths when you're together and you're so in sync. This is why we have our own chat. There's one thing you're wrong about with her. You say things like you understand her desires and passions, and they don't usually lean your way. Okay. Where the fuck was this going? You're wrong. She says you are 100% of who she's going to be with until her last dying breath. She loves you so much it hurts, and when you say things like that, she's scared of telling you the truth because it started as a misconception, and she didn't correct you. After a long while, you just accepted it as fact. It is not a fact. She loves you so fiercely that, as much as she likes me, she's willing to burn all bridges with me, to prove to you that she really does love you more than she has words for, in the English language. Holy shit, I said, tears starting to fall silently. I need to know something. This thing, us, you and me and Katerina, are you doing this for her? Because you think it's what she wants? No, I said, wiping my face. I really like you. I wasn't lying earlier. Even if you and I get married and have kids someday, which TikTok, we're both getting older, Bitsy is always going to be in my life. She's always going to be my first wife. If I didn't have her around, I truly would have gone all dark side and done some truly evil shit. Wait, marry me and have kids? You know I'm 34, right? It's not like I'm getting mothballed anytime soon. Damn. I really am robbing the cradle with both girlfriends. She let out a bark of laughter, but she was wiping her eyes, too. Katerina is scared that soon you're going to leave her to make room for me. She's worried her inability to get pregnant will make you turn away from her. Never. She's stuck to me like a fungus. I'll be her stalker. I'll fire up Kim Dracula's version of paparazzi and sing it to her. She's going nowhere without me, unless she asks me to stop and leave her. I love her that much. And you're willing to add me to the mix? A now tear-streaked sheriff asked. I leaned forward and kissed her gently. It was more love, comfort, and reassurance. Yes, I may have gotten things wrong, but I was right. Katerina is smitten with you. I am just about 99% sure I can see the three of us long-term. The 3.5 kids, the white picket fence, and everything. In part, that's why we've both held back on showing you everything. We didn't want to scare you off. I don't think that's going to be possible at this point, she said, grabbing my hand. I let her lead me as we left my room. We passed the bathroom and entered Bitsy's room. She was curled up on her bed, crying silently. I gathered the blankets around her and lifted her. She flailed for a second and then let me. I carried her in a blanket burrito to my room. I crawled onto the larger bed as she thrashed a bit. I finally put her down and went back to my computer. Claudia crawled into bed with her as she tried to extract herself from her blanket wrap while I put on some music. Sanctify Me by In This Moment started playing softly. Claudia got in bed against the wall, and I got on the other end with Bitsy in the middle. Chapter 13. I knew nobody could reverse engineer the PCB quotes I'd requested with any degree of accuracy to figure out what I was building. I was highly surprised to find that I had quotes for both in my inbox when I woke up. At 1,000 boards each, using my design specs, which they double-checked, the price came in much cheaper than I could have expected. There were special run setup costs for smaller quantities, but I went with a few hundred of each for now. They said it could take up to a month to get these shipped to me. I was more than fine with that. The night of revelations with Claudia and Bitsy had been a few days ago. Bitsy had been both scared, pissed, and ready to fight the world. She'd shared her heart and bared her soul to Claudia. She'd begged her not to talk to me about her fears, and I'd picked her up and taken her to bed to be snuggled by both of us. She was both annoyed and even more in love with her. Not because she didn't listen, but because Claudia had made the choice and decided to roll the dice with what she felt Bitsy could live with. Because Claudia couldn't live with the knowledge and worry that I was doing this for Bitsy alone, and it was all going to go up in flames somehow. Communication. We turned a corner that night. It was also a week out now from deer hunting gun season. Bitsy had gone out and gotten one more deer, probably depopulating the deer herd around our land by a bit. Although it was nothing like downstate, where hunting could be hit and miss if you ever saw some. Outside, snow was falling heavily. Winter had come the first week of November, and it was coming with a vengeance. The hourly snowfall was being measured by the foot at this point. I was going to wait for the storms to let up before I dug my way to the second Quonset hut and got the bobcat out to clear the drive. It was blowing too hard for Bitsy's smaller drones to go very high, but it appeared our road was also snowed in. Being a private road, once we went past the LeBlancs, it was on us to make it drivable. There was no one past us, so it was fine with me. Snowmobiles had been running all week. When I spent time under the open sky, I could hear them and had to grin. I heard a knock at my door and turned just as Bitsy came in. She'd been working on a project in her room for 2 days now, giving up on hunting as the snow piled up. "Hey girl, want to buy a duck?" I asked her. She paused, then burst into silent laughter. She walked over, put her knees on either side of my chair, and straddled my lap. We almost went over backward as my chair reclined, but I held onto her. She kissed my forehead. I kissed her nose when she got close again, making her eyes cross. She was just too damned cute. Today, she was wearing a blonde wig with a chin-length cut. "Do you want to go riding in the big snow machine? The snowcat?" Her talker had been ready to ask this. I grinned. "Where do you want to go?" She started typing. "I want to go to the bar and get some pizza and vodka. I love it here, but I'm ready to go out again." I remembered how she said it was lonely up here. I understood, and I was ready to go myself. I was very prolific in ideas and designs for things that may never be built, like a small rifle-sized light railgun that was powered by a backpack and wouldn't melt down on itself. It needed more work, but I was burned out. "Should we invite Claudia?" I asked her. "I want a date with my man. Apparently you consider me your first wife. We haven't had a date alone with just you in a while." She was right, and I was nodding. It would be fun. "Okay. Let me go get things fired up and make sure the diesel hasn't gelled up. I've had the block heaters running on everything, so I went ahead and fired it up. I'm a little bit too short to see what I'm doing beyond driving it out of the hut. I worried I'd hit short things. I'm not that much taller than you. A few inches. I want my man to." The rest was lost as I claimed her lips. She leaned into me again, moaning quietly. Then she got up and pointed to my snowmobile suit. I'd gotten it out of storage in anticipation of having to do something with the snow. Also have snowplow hooked to it. "We'll open gate, you push snow out." "My queen has spoken," I told her. Driving the snowcat with the hand controls was fun. I've driven them on 2 continents now. Bitsy found this one while I was locked up and had it rebuilt, so I didn't spend a month tearing it apart and getting it ready before it was shipped to us. The heater was so effective that I stripped my snowmobile suit down to the waist, just wearing a sweater and knit cap. Bitsy's face stuck out from a triple-stuffed goose-down suit with a battery pack to run the internal heating system. I was going to tease her about that later, as I had not grown up in Siberia. Still, though, despite the snow just dumping like the weather was disgusted with anything green, there was no sliding and stopping the old machine. Surprisingly, we had no issues with the front gate retracting to the side. I made 2 passes, clearing almost 3 feet of snow and pushing most of it that didn't go to the sides of the driveway straight across the road. I went ahead and cleared some to the left so there was a good turnaround, then turned and went to the right of the driveway. The plow tilted to the right as we pushed the snow ahead of us. Bitsy was belted into a 5-point harness, and she had a hard time sitting still. The snow machine was amazing, and it was slow as fuck. We were going less than 10 miles an hour, whether or not we had the plow down. We were moving, and we were moving a lot of snow. I'd get to the other side of the road on our way back. We slowed at the corner, and I could see a figure in the window. Bitsy tapped my arm and pointed. I nodded, backing up and driving into the LeBlanc's driveway. A set of tracks was all that was there, and they'd been done recently, too. I pulled in close to the trailer where the trucks they drove were parked. 2 of the 3 of them were gone. I put the blade down and dragged it backwards until I got to the road. I spun the machine with the tracks, backed up over the mound of snow with the blade up, back to the truck, and pushed the snow across the road. Bitsy was pumping her fist, smiling. That's when I noticed a flashlight blink on and off a ton. Bitsy noticed, too, and tapped the mirror, making sure I saw. I did, and I backed up to the truck and made sure it was in neutral. I pulled my snowsuit back on and zipped it up before hopping out on the track and then down onto the snow-covered ground. The wind was wicked, but being this close to a big lake, it wasn't as cold as I'd expected. It was in the 20s temperature-wise. Nice and brisk. "Mr. Sokolov?" I heard the shout. I approached the front of the trailer and walked up the steps to see Mrs. LeBlanc on the steps. "Mrs. LeBlanc, how are you guys holding up?" I asked her. I have no right to ask, but Jill and Phil Jr. headed out to pick up things from the store. Our pipes froze and they went for some water. I think they're stuck. Jill tried to call, but her phone cut off, and I couldn't get her on the phone. "Is Phil Sr. out there with them?" I asked, noticing the missing truck again. "He's gone. I told him to get out of here. I talked to the bartender, myself, and the sheriff's department. This isn't even the 3rd time he started a fight at that bar over women. That's just that bar itself. He comes and goes from time to fix things in the barn, but then he's gone again. Hasn't been back in a week." "I'm sorry. Do you know what way the kids would have gone?" I asked her. "Head towards Marquette. There's a market about 20 minutes down the road. Well, in normal weather. So maybe an hour in the snowcat. Wanna come with us? I have a heated cab." She thought about it for a good 10 seconds before nodding. "I'll be right back out." I went back to the cat and opened the back. I moved the logging chain, the tow strap, and the snow shovels that lived in the back seat. In theory, this baby could fit 6 people, but you had to be really close to those 6 people, close like a thong. I was ready when Lewin LeBlanc made it back out. I held my hands out for her. She was able to get a leg up on the tracks, and both Bitsy and I got her on top of it. She was huffing and puffing, but after a moment, I was able to help her slide into the back seat. She had put on a Carhartt set of bibs and coat. An orange knit cap topped things off. I ran around and got on my side. By the time I did, she'd opened her jacket, taken her cap off, and was fanning herself. "Too hot?" I asked her. She shook her head. "Perfect. It's fine." I nodded and put the snowcat in gear. Bitsy turned around and waved to the big woman, who gave her a grin and a small wave back. "She don't talk?" she asked suddenly. "A long time ago there was a fire. Besides the scars you saw, she had pretty bad damage to her lungs and vocal cords. She can talk, but maybe 1 word or 2 before it really hurts. It took her almost a year and a half after we got together before her lungs had healed enough to let her walk any sort of distance, let alone do anything physical. Now, though, she's tougher than a syphilitic badger." Bitsy smacked my arm with her gloved hand, but she was smiling. She unzipped her heavy parka, or tried. She shed the gloves and then finished the job. She wiggled, taking her 5-point harness off. We were going so slow that nothing short of being hit by another vehicle could hurt her at our slow speeds. She turned around to face Lou and showed her the talker, then started typing. I overcame my injuries and found love. I am sorry your family has had trouble. We just wanted a quiet retirement. If that's still possible, we would love to be good neighbors. I was nodding, clearing the road as quickly as the cat would go, which wasn't fast. Lou and Bitsy talked back and forth, and for once I was glad we didn't have a sound system. Their murmurs were comforting. Well, Bitsy's talker was on low as the ladies talked. When we hit the main road, I had to adjust the blade so I wasn't scraping the pavement raw. It was another 15 minutes, and I saw faint tracks that were soon covered with blowing snow. The wipers and blower on the windshield were going full tilt, but it was still hard to see. I went from a crawl to going inches at a time. Bitsy noticed me slowing and turned around. What vehicle were they driving? Color? White Ford truck, Lou said. I mentally grumbled. That would be hard to make out in this mess. But I didn't mind. Not really. It just was going to be difficult, not impossible. The cab went silent except for the rumble of the tracks and the swish-swish of the wiper blades. Since living more underground in northern Michigan, daylight was fleeting. If we were down there from about 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., that was about it for the sun. With this storm, it looked like darkness was falling early. That's when the snow stopped blowing so hard, and I could see a double set of tire tracks that had fishtailed as if they had been trying to dodge something. I slowed from an inch to barely idling. A moment later, I paused the snowcat and turned on all the lights and light bars outside. I was blinded and couldn't see with all the light reflecting, but that was fine. I made sure I was buttoned up and left the cab as the ladies asked what I was doing. I ignored them and hopped off the track as the door swung behind me. The snow swirled as if it held back, waiting to hit me. I wanted to rage at the weather, but as a second-generation U.S. citizen born in the Great White North, I couldn't. It was what it was. I was thankful there wasn't any traffic coming either way. I followed the tracks and stopped dead. Then I started running. The truck had rolled down the side of the road and ended up on its side. The cab and bed were facing the road, which made me almost miss seeing it. And the windshield looked to be gone, with the cab of the truck's roof mostly caved in. I noted that, luckily, they had one of those fake bars across the back with light bars. I prayed it had been enough. "Phil, Jill!" I screamed as loud as I could. "Help!" A girl's voice screamed back. "I'm stuck. Help us, mister." Philly's voice came from just beyond the vehicle. When I got there, I saw the boy had been trying to dig his sister's side of the truck out with his hands and a large, broken tree limb. He looked frantic. "Jill, are you hurt?" I asked. "No. The seatbelt won't come open." Philly's eyes got wide as he realized who I was. He backed up a step, but then his face seemed to harden. "Mister, please help my sister. I promise I won't ever give you any more trouble. I promise you that we're all going to be fine," I told him. I was glad that I was wearing warm clothes, but right now, I was a bit jealous of Luann's Carhartts. That heavy canvas would do a lot better with the glass fragments. I undid my front zipper and reached into my pocket. I had a little Gerber Zilch pocket knife. I flicked it open and leaned into the truck. I don't know if it was me or me leading with the knife, but Jill let out a short shriek. "It's okay. I'm going to cut your seatbelt," I told her. "Your brother is okay, and your mother rode out with us so we could find you, okay?" Mister." She burst into tears, turning towards the ground. I was able to snag the belt with my left hand and get just enough room away from her body to slice it with the Zilch. Hot knife through butter was very apt. It also released Jill, who slumped harder against the door that was resting on the ground. I used both hands to close the knife and I put it back in my pocket. Jill started wiggling, and I put my arms out. In the end, she had to turn, step up a little bit, and crawl across the steering column to get out of the hole where the windshield was. With the cab half crushed through, it was tight, even for my skinny ass. I had to help pull her out so her coat didn't snag. When she got out, she was wobbly. Just before she was about to flop, I scooped her up, and Phil Jr. braced me on my left when my leg started to slide. "You got her, Mr. Sokoloff?" he asked. "I had her in a princess carry." "I do. Can you walk just behind me in case I slip?" I think hanging from the seatbelt has her legs all pins and needles. It does, it hurts, but, oh, my toes are the worst, Jill said. Phil grabbed the back of my coat as I climbed the embankment and pressed against my back when it was hard to move forward with his sister's added weight. She was ugly crying and, at one point, put an arm around my neck. I was almost ready to take a break. My body was not conditioned to carry someone uphill on a slope of ice and snow like this. I was breathing heavily, almost puking from the effort, when Bitsy was suddenly there. She grabbed my shoulder and leaned back, pulling me onto the flat part of the shoulder. I stood there a second, breathing hard as she put 2 hands out for Phil Jr., pulling him up after me. Jill was wiggling her legs, but her audible crying was tapering off. I got some of my wind back and started staggering to the cat. When I got there, I put Jill on the tracks and made sure she had her feet somewhat steady. She got the back door open and flopped inside. A moment later, a quiet Phil Jr. crawled up behind her with Bitsy, giving him a push on the ass. I almost laughed as the boy went sprawling across both his sister's and mother's laps. Bitsy had a mean streak that would make most Tasmanian devils hold their hats in shame. She was still using her hands and a shoulder instead of her boot, which is what I suspected she really wanted to use. I slammed his door, pressed a kiss to Bitsy's forehead, and motioned for her to get in. She ran around her side and was in a second later. What we found was 3 crying humans in the back seat. Luann and Jill were bawling and hugging, and Phil was wiping his eyes. He saw me staring in the rear view and flipped me off. I turned his way. So much for his promise. Shithead. Sadly, though, I had to admire the kid's tenacity. Hey asshole, it's not a crime to cry. You both would have died if your mother hadn't gone for help. That's how some people blow off steam and let out emotions. Don't knock them or yourself for being like that. A real man knows it's okay to cry. Only pussies deny it. Don't be a fucking pussy. Be a man, and fucking feel this shit. It's the only way to grow and get past it. The cab went quiet at my growl. Bitsy biffed my shoulder. Bitsy, mark this spot with a GPS tag. There's no way I can get that truck out in this storm. I barely made it up the hill. Just can't. We'll have to come back for it. She nodded. I made sure the cat was idling up. What do? I didn't want to take them back to our cabin, nor their double-wide with no water. I doubted I could get them help in this storm, and I needed to get somewhere to be able to check and see if the kids were injured. Junior was still an asshole, but so was I. Shit. Was I losing my edge? Think evil villain thoughts, Yuri. Channel your inner supervillain. Where to now? Luann asked. I think we're about 10 minutes from the bar. I want to see if they're open. That way, I can check and see if Jill's injured. What are you, a fucking doctor? Junior snarked. Motherfucker. I graduated high school when I was 15 fucking years old. I hold a doctorate in both mechanical engineering and science, and also in electronic engineering. Since I was our country's version of James fucking Bond, who had to stuff guts back inside people from time to time, sew them up, and give them medical emergency care in lands where they still bang rocks together to make fire, what do you fucking think? Mischa, Bitsy said, coughing deeply. Peace. I wiped my eyes and kept driving. It was all hitting me all at once. The flashbacks were horrible. The faces, those I lost. Those I killed. Bitsy reached over and put a hand on my cheek. A moment later, somebody from the back leaned forward and gave me a timid kiss on my cheek. I was shocked to see who had done it in the rear view. We appreciate you, Mr. Sokolov, Jill said. Thank you for saving us. You're right. We would have died. Also, my brother being an asshole is how he copes. He must be dealing with a lot of shit. All the fucking time, I muttered darkly. This time, it was Luann who burst into loud laughter. Chapter 14. We pulled the cat into the bar, as somebody was trying to pull out. They were losing the battle and were stuck on the flat part of the pavement. I had killed all the extra lights but flashed my main ones to signal I saw whoever it was in the two-wheel drive truck. I pulled up to the right of them and rolled down my window. Bars closed. Weather says we're fucked for a while. It was the bartender we'd met before. I got 2 kids that were in a car accident. Any chance you can open up the place so I can look them over? I don't think I can get them to a hospital in this weather. The man hesitated, but then Bitsy leaned forward with her talker held in front of me. If you open, feed us all pizzas, beer, vodka, and pop. I have 2,000 cash. Please. He stared long and hard at my snowcat. Well shit. It's not like I have anybody waiting at home for me. Can you get me out of here in the morning if we end up stuck here all night? You can count on it, I told him. For $2,000, Bud, our bartender's name, fired up the pizza ovens and had 5 different pizzas in the works. He remembered Bitsy's and my penchant for Russian vodka and put 2 bottles on the table with rocks glasses. He also got a pitcher of ice water and a pitcher of Coca-Cola and was ready to grab us whatever else we wanted. The TV was on, but the satellite signal was spotty, and the feed kept freezing. The heat in the bar was roaring, and we all took off our heavy clothing. I was down to jeans and a t-shirt. Bitsy was in jeans, a t-shirt, a hoodie, a flannel over the top, and fingerless cotton gloves. I only judged her a little. The LeBlancs had gone down to pants and shirts as well, letting everything else hang and dry. What happened? I asked Jill. I think it was a bear, she said softly. I tried to brake and steer away from that, but my tire felt like it got stuck or hit something, and we slid off and tumbled downhill. Are you warm enough now? I asked her. Yes, sir, she said softly. Let's move over to the corner so you have more privacy. Bitsy, you want to sit with Mama and Phil Jr.? She nodded, then held a finger up. She pointed to herself and Jill, then to the corner. Okay. But if you're unsure about anything, you get me. I can feel for broken ribs without her having to move her shirt, but you can put your eyes on any bruising or hematomas and let me know. Okay? And we're on concussion protocols for both kids unless otherwise ruled out. She gave me a mock salute, then took Jill's hand. I was a fucking dumbass. The ladies went into the ladies' room, where they would have privacy. I was just going where there was more light when I suggested the corner. Hey, Bud, thank you, I told him. I get it, man, it's brutal out there. And, I don't need $2,000 for this. Just cover the bill for what you eat and drink. I was about ready to call it a night and come in here to sleep until I could dig out anyway. That's up to Bitsy, I told him. I might pretend to be in charge, but the truth is, it's all her. He grinned. Yeah, she's a tough lady, that's for sure. What's the story with the mom and kids? They're neighbors about a mile down the road. We took the snowcat out to plow and were hoping to get here soon enough to grab some pizzas and drinks. We diverted to plow their driveway and got waved down. Mama there got a call, but the signal was going out. She thought the kids had gotten stuck, so we asked her if she wanted to come with us. 20 or 25 minutes later, we found the kids. They'd rolled the truck. I had to cut the girl out of the seatbelt, and here we are. You saved them, he said softly. Eh? I said, making the iffy gesture with my hand as he poured half a tumbler for me. They owe you, he said softly. Remember last time I was in here and almost had to shoot a guy? He nodded. Mama is his wife and these are his kids. They had no clue he was playing the field. Fuck, he muttered softly. Yeah. She gave him the boot after more shit happened, and this all came to light. I felt responsible for the kids having no dad to come to save them. You know, he said, leaning close so we were almost kissing. Phil was into some heavy shit, scary shit. Rumor was he was running shit. Meth? I asked, knowing it was the drug of choice up here, and everybody in the world could grow 12 plants of weed according to the laws of the state, and it was pretty common. Yeah, and guns and shit, he muttered. I about shit myself when he came after you, then about shit when you made him about shit himself. Hold on, pizzas are going to be coming out. I nodded, and he turned away to start working on the food. I heard a loud knock and turned. Bitsy was motioning for me to come with her. Lou got up as well. Her eyes were panicked-looking. I motioned for her to go with me. I met Bitsy in front of the bathroom, and Lou was there a second later. She motioned to the side of her head, low on the ribs, the left leg, picked her foot up and touched her left foot. Bruising? I asked. Bitsy nodded. Mrs. LeBlanc, I need to double-check that she's not got broken ribs, at least. Will you come in with me and Bitsy? Yes, sir, she said solemnly. I walked into the women's room, which seemed like a foreign nation to me. Jill was sitting on the long formica counter between the sinks. She was slouched a bit but tried to straighten up when she saw me. I walked her way and got my phone out, shaking it and making my flashlight kick on. I held it straight down and held up a finger. Watch my hand, I told her, then lifted the phone with my other hand. Her pupils followed my finger and dilated and contracted normally. They were also equal-sized, but with the lump I could see starting on her temple, I figured, despite no symptoms, she probably had a minor concussion. We would play it safe and watch her for a while. How's your side, little miss? I asked her softly. Hurts both sides. Can I look? You were wearing a bra, right? Yes, you can. And yes, I am. I pulled her shirt up and then started rolling it. I did it until it was a couple of inches beneath her bust. She reached up with her right hand and held onto the front to keep her chest covered. I stopped there, seeing what I needed. Her right side had pedicure alongside her right down to her lower left. Her left side itself went to an instant bruise. I ignored her shuddering in pain as I probed her ribs. She may have cracked them, but I didn't feel any obvious breaks. I pulled on the edge of her shirt and kneeled. She let her shirt down, rubbing it flat again as I inspected her ankle area. I pulled her shoe off and her sock off. She hissed. Did it get pinched? Or did you smack it around? I asked her. Think it's just scraped, she admitted. Got it stuck by the clutch pedal while it was rolling. By the time we stopped on the side, it was out. I can walk on it, but when I first got out, my leg was numb, and so were my feet. That's to be expected. Now open your toes wide, I told her. She did, and I ran my finger from her heel up to her middle toe. She started giggling, but it cut off as her mom stared daggers at her. I gave Lou a look and shook my head no. Sorry, that tickles. Sorry, didn't mean to make you twitch. Katerina indicated you have some bruising on your leg. How bad is it? I asked her. It's already purple. Okay, so Kat was already pulling her hoodie off. She made me turn around. I heard her mom murmuring to her. A moment later, Bitsy tapped my shoulder, and I turned around. A very red-faced teen was standing there with Bitsy's hoodie wrapped around her waist, holding up the edge so I could see her outer thigh and her pants around her ankles. Ouch, holy shit. That would make me bawl. It just hurts. No clicking or grinding? I asked her. No, she chuckled. Okay, just kidding. It looks like a bad bruise with no breaks. Nothing's absolute until we can get you under an X-ray, but I think you'll live through the night. Dr. Sokolov thinks you need pizza, soda, bad Russian jokes, and to go to sleep in like 3 or 4 hours. Who is supplying the bad jokes? Lou asked as I turned back around so she could get dressed. Bitsy. She's always been too mouthy. I snickered. Then I felt it when she flicked the back of my head. The cat reluctantly fired up in the morning while the rest of everyone mostly slept. We'd taken over booths and lines of chairs. Bitsy just used me as her mattress until I picked her up and put her in front of the gas log fireplace when I woke up. She wasn't as happy to be moved, but I had work to do. The snow had stopped, and the sun was starting to come up. I checked my cell phone and it had a full signal. Lewin called in her kid's accident last night on the non-emergency line, and we gave the GPS coordinates so if somebody found the truck this morning, they wouldn't go all ham trying to save the kids. My phone beeped as I was sitting in the warming-up crawler. I received a text from Carter demanding that I answer as soon as possible. I called him. Yuri, you're up early, he said. Yeah. The weather up here has been pretty shit. I'm warming up the snowcat so we can drive home. Any worries? He asked. None, I told him. The earlier problems seem to be resolved for now. I'm assuming you're calling about the connections between the 3 I asked about, sir. Wow, you really hold up to your promises. No snark there, and yes, you are correct. NSA had a hit between your neighbor and some people up north who are connected to people way down south. Shit. That's not quite what I was expecting. Maybe more local. Meth from the rumor I heard. That, and potentially human trafficking or worse. I've already alerted folks on the ground, but we don't have anybody close. We don't know if LeBlanc is in the know on everything, but he's connected with the group, that is. That's not good, sir. Right now, well, my neighbor's wife and kids, their trailer's pipes froze. The kids went out to get water and rolled a truck. I grabbed the wife and got the kids to a safe place. I'm looking at a slight concussion on the eldest daughter, maybe cracked ribs. The son is still an asshole, but the father has been in the wind. The family threw him out for being a cheating jerk. I see. Listen, I said I wasn't going to be bringing you back into things. But, gosh darn it, sir, I said loudly. A man of principles. I understand your anger. At this point, you're the only asset in this part of the state who is close enough that we're sure isn't compromised. We got Sigint that the group he's connected with is going to be moving cargo. We're assuming human. It's outgoing, not incoming. I hope you understand what I'm not saying. I trust Katerina's encryption, but until you're at your bastion, I can't give you a lot of details. Can you call me back on your, more secure things? Yes, sir. Absolutely. I might be an hour and a half or so out. I can be operational in 2 or 3 hours after that. Can you send me all intel and mission details? I truly thought you might fight me on this, he said softly. No, sir. You know the hell I went through to break Katerina and me out. You know how I view traffickers. I do, which is why this might be an operation I would have you pulled back to run, even half a world away. I need Bitsy on tech and you on operations. I can have a team from down south. Sir, with all due respect, do we have time for you to scramble a team when we had 3 feet of snow dumped overnight? I asked, lowering the plow and getting the cat moving, pushing snow out of the way so we could get the fuck out of there and still keep my promise. No, we don't. Not really. We're expecting them to try to move their cargo later on tonight. Once they leave U.S. soil, things become infinitely more difficult to track and trace. Can you have somebody come grab Luke and Denton to make sure we can do more enhanced interrogations? I asked him. You didn't hear? He sounded surprised. No, sir. Both were found dead in their cells yesterday evening at the county lockup. Their deaths are why we're sure this is an inside job, and we have zero trust for anyone else local. I'm surprised Sheriff Clausen hasn't alerted you yet. She might not know. We literally had a whiteout, taking out satellite and cell phone coverage from the weather. If she insists on, you're authorized to use any resources, including any crazy shit you may have cooked up. Yes, sir. Am I to have receipts ready after the action? Son, if this truly tracks back to who we think it does, you're going to be leading a task force that runs from the UP down to the cartels, wherever in the world they try to hide from you. You have a blank check as far as I'm concerned. Motherfucking fuckity fuck. So I understand this correctly. Are the gloves off, Yuri style? I asked him. No way. Not at all. To use Bitsy's phrase, we need Mischa, we need the Archangel. We need to save the cargo, and may God have mercy on your foes, because I know you won't. That's an order, by the way. Yes, sir, I told him softly. Are you sure? I'm elevating your station in the computers. Anybody running you will know you're doing so with my authority directly, with the backing of the full might of the DoD. I'm sorry, son, but our country needs you. You're back TAD style. We'll have SIGINT and codes for Bitsy and satellites and a whole hell of a lot. Holy hell. Who did they kidnap? I asked in a quiet voice. It isn't released to the media yet. We hope it never is. But this is one of those operations. You shall not fail. You will not give up. There is no rock to be left unturned, and no enemy to be left to run away if they can't be captured. Do you understand me? Sometimes, to fight monsters, we need our own. In this case, we called up our monster hunter because our monsters may not be enough, or are compromised. Sir, yes, sir, I muttered, my blood running cold. Call me when you're at the bastion. When I walked into the bar, Bitsy stood up straight, going pale at my expression. Luann, I need to take you somewhere else. You can't go home right now. We need to get your daughter checked out, and it'd be great if you could just not go home for a while. Something wrong? Bud asked, pouring a cup of to-go coffee and sliding it to me. Work-related. I need to keep them safe and get the girl medical attention, or at least some x-rays. Probably should get the boy a once-over too, just in case. I heard you plowing us out earlier, and the snowplows have been hitting the road. Yeah? Yeah, I told him. I'll take them to Marquette. I'm gonna close for a few days anyway. Nobody's coming here with shit weather. They can stay with me. Taking them to Marquette is one thing, but keeping them with you might get you involved. I can leave money so they... Sir, he said, then rolled up his sleeve. I sighed. He had a green skull with a green beret, 2 arrows, and a dagger going through it with a banner underneath it with the Latin phrase, De oppresso liber. We had a long talk last night about who I used to be. This guy was on the level and I hated to put him in danger, yet I would. I might be about 30 years too old to help directly, son, but I know the looks of young bucks like you. I ain't afraid to get involved, sir. He said the last with a salute, which I gave him back. I wiped my eyes. You, Bud, are a lifesaver. Literally. Luann? I've been listening. Is it related to Phil? I nodded. Sort of. I can't say much more, but I desperately need to go. I need you to go with Bud here and stay away for a while. I'll leave my number with Bud and let you know when it's safe to come back. If I had a helicopter, I'd already be gone. I'm sorry I can't say more. I remembered who you work for, she muttered softly. And I'm not surprised Phil is stuck in this mess. Thankfully, her kids were still asleep or starting to wake up. Bitsy was already getting her cold weather gear on. How fast? Bitsy croaked, holding her throat. They called in Mischa, I said softly. It's that bad. It's really, really that bad, Katerina. She made the sign of the cross as she shuddered.